We are live. Um, Welcome to the check-in, a show where a couple of friends hang out on their lunch break and talk about glimpses of hope and momentum during their lunch break. Danielle, I am so excited right now and thrilled. I can't wait to hear how you're feeling. I have a wild feeling, as I said before we started recording, that today is going to be a different kind of conversation for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still going to have facets of a lot of what we're talking about, but yeah, how are you doing, pal?
Holy shit.
Holy shit.
Like, holy shit. I I cannot express how many times this morning I have burst into tears of just overwhelm, of joy, of this kind of. Do you know when it is so hot outside and it rains and the steam kind of just lifts off of the asphalt, lifts off of the ground? That's how my tears feel today. It is like I have been filled with such anger and rage and grief, and we've talked about it for months. And to have this moment, and I know that the people that watch us and listen to this show and the muckrake and my show, like, I know that the feeling is similar, but I cannot contain the overwhelming sense of joy. And like, I was like, "Oh my God, God did not forget us." Right? Like, that is literally what ran through my mind today on my walk, was just like, hope is the most important tool. It is the most important emotion. It is the most, like, important thing that we can have in this moment. And it's like, until you feel and see glimmers of it, you don't realize how much you've been existing in a desert of fear and anxiety and grief. And so the tears to me are like an oasis. Like, it feels like, oh my God, we're not out of the woods, and oh my God, the backlash to this is going to be resounding, but it is a deep, present reminder of how important people power is, how important our resolve and persistence and collective care is, how important it is to have integrity, to be honest, and to be unequivocal in your purpose, right? Um yeah, I am full right now. I am full. How are you, my friend?
I want to start by saying, I am so happy and hopeful for a variety of reasons. And listen, I know what my job is. I'm going to come in a second and I'm going to be like, I'm happy, but here's the thing. Like, that's my job. That's what I do. That's the role I fill. But before I start with that, it makes me so happy not just to have a real actual victory, not even a symbolic victory, not even just a settling for scraps victory, but an actual victory that is based on needed, missing, like, principles, like
Yes.
actual, real, like what politics can and should be. It made me so happy on a variety of different levels, which I'll talk about in a second. But before I do that, seeing you feel this, because one of the things that we're doing is we're patterning a relationship here for people. Like, I am so happy to get on here and talk to my friend about this,
Sam.
because the thing here, and I try and stress this all the time in organizing, politics will break your heart.
Mhm.
It will break your heart constantly. And that is why it is so important when you have a victory to hold on to it,
Mhm.
to take the moment and say, oh my God, this is what we're doing this for. Like, we're doing this in order to have a better future. It's not just to get people elected, it's to make the world better.
Yep.
You get a boot in the face constantly. And
Yep.
you get people who will lie to you and abuse you and do all this stuff. These glimmers are everything,
Mhm.
period. And so we have to hold on to that. At the same time, there is so much work to be done
Mhm.
because I'll tell you, I'll tell people this right now. If you think it's hard getting a leftist elected, it is even harder to get a leftist to achieve the goals that they want. Because let's make it clear, what has happened in New York City is that a class war is on. That's what
Yes.
this is going to be.
Yes.
And it is not going to be an easy battle. All of the moneyed interests are on the other side. And by the way, like Zohran Mamdani, and by the way, has laid out a a a blueprint of how you actually win.
Yep.
How you show up, how you organize people, what kind of message, what it is people want. And the Democratic Party just repulsive behavior around him.
Mhm.
The media conglomerates, which we'll talk about later, repulsive behavior around him.
Mhm.
He was able to show people what it is that you can do in this modern era of politics. And that oasis that you're talking about, this is what we have been starving for. And
Mhm.
the reason it feels this way, it isn't because Zohran Mamdani got elected, although thank God New York was able to, and by the way, hats off, the courage that they showed. Like to go into a voting booth despite the Islamophobia, despite the class fear mongering, despite like the institutional Democrats like trying to ruin this thing. They went into the voting booth and they said, you know what? We're going to take a flyer on ourselves.
Yep.
We're going to try something different to try and make the world better and our lives better. Hats off to them. But the reason that this feels so good is that this is the way it's supposed to be.
Mhm.
And after years and years of this shit, to finally have something that is real and that is actually hopeful and forward thinking and real, again, is the biggest thing in the world. And we have to hold on to that joy because the hard work now starts. Campaigning is hard work. The next part of it is even harder. And that's why we have to hold on to the victories where we can.
Last night I had the wonderful pleasure of moderating a panel of queer Black people at a queer Black owned bookstore in Brooklyn. And there were like 150 people there, a hundred, and all talking about collective care, all talking about what it means to ensure that, we are seen and we are heard, and that we don't place the entirety of our hopes and dreams on this one person, that our work and our civic duty does not end on election day. That is when it begins. That Zoran Mamdani, and we can talk about, because folks, it was not just New York City. It was not just Virginia. It was not just New Jersey. It was not just California and Prop 50. It was in Mississippi.
Mississippi.
It was in upstate New York with these mayors. It was the first a woman mayor of Detroit. Like, we are talking about legislative seismic shifts that occurred because the people that ran with integrity. The people that ran on purpose. And so what I want folks to take away from this is that, one, your vote and your voice and how you engage, whether that is on social media, in real life, knocking on doors, sharing posts, doing phone banking,
Yep.
donating money, all of those things matter. It also matters that you recognize that what Zoran Mamdani and working families and these people are talking about, right? Not the centrist Dems. What these people who won are talking about is changing the system of oppression. And that is something that does not happen overnight. And it
Yes.
takes every single one of us, whether it is folks that are going to decide, you know what? I never thought about public service before, but I'm going into these people's administration. I never thought about volunteering before, but this is what I'm going to do because I'm going to ensure, right, that I'm going to spend my time, my talent, and my treasure making sure that this structure that needs to be shaken is shaken and broken so that something new can be created. Because if we put all of our hopes and dreams on one person, we will be left wanting. It is on all of us to ensure that the agendas that we voted for are seen all the way through. And so for me, it was like, I didn't even, we were talking last night about being scared to be hopeful because the gutting that happened last year at this time was like, I mean, it floored us. And what happens, like when we talk often about being in abusive relationships, being in abusive environments, is that you walk on eggshells, right? You are scared to take deep breaths. You're scared to like be full, feel your fullness because of being knocked down, right? Literally and figuratively. So this win feels like air coming back into our bodies. Like we have been breathless for months, exacerbated for months. And so it feels like air returning, right? That like America is not done, right? That people, although it's taken such devastation and death, that like people are conscious and waking up. And to me, that is worth celebrating. That is worth holding. That is worth planting. That is worth, the revival that is necessary in America right now.
I couldn't agree more. And to go off of what you just said, I unfortunately, because of what I do, I have to pay attention to the signals that are coming out of corporate media. Because for me, in my organizing work and what I'm doing, I need to understand what the reaction is. Right. And by the way, I don't recommend that anybody who doesn't do this work pays any attention to corporate fucking media. Don't turn it on. Don't pay attention to it at all. Those of us who have to look for where the counter is coming, we can do it for those purposes. Otherwise, and I have to tell you, Danielle, what I saw last night was so telling. On one hand, you just brought up the idea, like everybody, like Zohran Mamdani, incredibly talented, gifted, generationally talented politician, incredibly charismatic, really good at communication and campaigning. You know what we keep hearing? Is Zohran Mamdani the leader of the new Democratic Party? Is he the one who is going to bring the party to do that? Is it AOC? Is it whatever? You know what gets lost in all of that? The normal fucking people who went door to door.
Yep.
The normal fucking people who looked at somebody and said, you know what? I'm going to take a chance on this guy because he seems authentic and real and he has a plan to make this city better. The people who went out yesterday and said, I am tired of this fascist fucking shit.
Yep.
You're not getting my vote, period. And by the way, like the reaction from so the moderates and the corporate establishment Democrats, the conversation is, well, is he going to be able to get it done? Shut the fuck up.
Yep.
Shut the fuck up. You know what? He can get it done if you don't try and stop him.
Yeah.
But of course you're going to try and stop him. Of course you're going, and you know why? Because if he gets something done, the game is up.
Yep.
If he actually achieves something that makes people's lives better, guess what? Every Democrat then has to make things better. The entire point of the Democratic Party has been to be like, what, do you expect things to get better? You know, I'll give a speech that says it will, but it really won't. Then meanwhile, what happens on the right, Danielle? I watched the reaction on the right. It was the most dysregulated that I have ever seen them. Like crying on the air.
Praise be.
You have these panels. And by the way, there was a moment last night. I was watching Fox News for my research. There was a moment where they had a panel and it was three women who looked exactly alike and Jack Posobiec. You know, and I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. They couldn't talk. They couldn't form, like they were talking past each other. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Like
Yep.
They were all saying things that weren't working together. Their reactions were quick. Their voices were rising. They were activated. And the reason that they were activated is because their worst fear is that somebody with leftist principles who is actually authentic, who wants to get things done, will actually provide a counterbalance to fascism,
Yep.
which is by the way, the right now straddles the left and the right. They'll say the leftist things, they don't mean them, and then they'll do the right wing things, and they've taken up all that vacuum. They are terrified of that. But what gets lost in this is it's not about Zohran Mamdani. It's not about AOC. Those people, they can be figures in the political movement. They can't just do it themselves. We have to stop outsourcing all of this stuff. Like, it goes back to what I always say. Everybody said, "Oh, I miss Obama. I didn't have to think about politics."
Yep.
No, you do. Because you have to be like, you have to show up. You have to actually care about this shit. And this whole idea that it's just like Mamdani was able to give great speeches and he had great videos online. That's not why he won. He won because people woke up and they said, this shit will not stand. Things are not getting better. Things are getting worse. We need to try something else. So today, we can't just say, oh my God, Mamdani got elected. We climbed the mountain. No, the mountain is still up there. It just so happened we got to the base of the mountain. Now the climb works, and now we have to do the work. And we have to realize it's not the great men of history theory that like individuals do this. People do it. And that's why we have to take this feeling today and we have to harness it and direct it, because we can get there. We can climb that mountain. We've been shown that it's possible, but we can't just say, oh, thank God these people have it. They'll take care of it. That is a sure route to disaster, and letting those motherfuckers win.
Yeah, and I just, to echo all of the things that you just said, it is the realization that we voted for ourselves yesterday, right? We voted for a reflection of the kind of society that we want to live in. And that has been what has been missing from the last several years, is that we've spent the last several years voting against something and voting against someone and not realizing how important it is to vote for something, right? Even with Harris's 107 days that she was given to convince America of its two original sins of misogyny and racism, and that, oh, we can overcome this in 170 days, something that we haven't given thought to in 249 years, right? What Mamdani and these other candidates recognized, but him in particular, what he recognized is that he is a vessel, right, for the needs of the people, right? And that we have been fed, to your point, this status quo, given the crumbs and told that we should be satisfied and grateful for what they scrape off and throw at our feet. And that is what the Democratic Party has been doing since fucking forever. The bare fucking minimum. And the beautiful expression that we saw in that is who came out and endorsed Andrew Cuomo. Who came out and endorsed Andrew Cuomo, from Donald Trump to Elon Musk to Stephen fucking Miller, tells you everything that you need to know about establishment Democrats.
And joined Bill Clinton in endorsing.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. And joined, some of the most vile Zionists that I have ever seen in my life. And that is who the establishment Democratic Party is. And so when people said, oh, is Zohran Mamdani the future? No, Zohran Mamdani is something completely fucking different. And that is what is terrifying. We're not looking for a replacement of who is going to lead the establishment Democrats and who is going to find their way back to the center. No, this moment, this culling that we have been in for the last 10 years under Trumpism is about destroying what does not work and building something entirely different in its place. That's what this is. And that's what they're all afraid of, from Trump to Musk to all of them, is because they have the setup. They got Donald Trump in there who cares, who worships money. That is his God. right? Who worships money and attention. And that is what the broligarchs, that's what they feed on. And so we're not looking for the next Obama. I know that I'm not, right? Because when Obama came in, Obama became a centrist,
Yep.
right? I am looking for something different. I am looking for an America that I have yet to see and experience. Somebody that stood up unapologetic for Palestinians and wasn't afraid, didn't apologize for being Muslim, didn't apologize or throw trans people under the bus, didn't say, oh, don't worry, I'm talking about you today, but I'll come back for the rest of us tomorrow. No, he brought all of us into the room and showed people that you can do that no one needs to be left, right? And so I feel like it is a brand new day. And it is a brand new day because I need for every single one of us to recognize how powerful we are. I need every single one of us to recognize that, like, they don't get the last word. From Donald Trump to Chuck Schumer, fucking Hakeem Jeffries, they don't get the last word, right? We do. And until we decide that we have given up on America, that we have given up on this dream, there is still air in us. There is still an opportunity to fight to create the thing that we want. Not get back the bullshit that they told us that we should have, but to fight for what it is that we actually deserve.
Amen. And I think that what you're talking about, there has been a very thin veneer on this country for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And the thin veneer, it's almost like it's almost like plastic wrap. You can see through it, right? It's just muddled. And what people are waking up to is that the game has always been rigged. It's like going to see the Harlem Globetrotters. And you're going to watch the Harlem Globetrotters, and you're like, am I watching an actual athletic event, or am I watching something that is staged with, spectacle and performance? You've been going to a staged spectacle performance.
Yep.
This entire time. And what I love about this, and this is the exciting thing, and I knew it was going to get there because throughout history, it always does this. It's very funny how these cycles play out. They can't help themselves, Danielle. Last night, the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City was literally being opposed by someone who had been openly endorsed, not as a Democratic nominee, by the Republican fascist president of the United States of America, his favorite little pet Goebbels, Stephen Miller,
Yep.
Bill Clinton, Mike Bloomberg, and you couldn't even get the Democratic leadership, which is all based in that area, to even admit that he was the candidate of the party. And by the way, like, even Obama played a game with this. Obama called him and said, I'd be glad to talk to you if you win. But where did he come out? He came out very openly and vocally for the judgeships in Pennsylvania. So are you a person who can make endorsements, or are you a person who can talk to people after an election? And by the way, Obama had to learn to be that. That's the only way he could become the first black president of the United States of America, was in order to be careful with these things. The era of carefulness, it's gone. It's gone. And we are going to see, unfortunately, an unholy alliance. We've already seen what happened when they kind of footsie around with it. Donald Trump endorses Andrew Cuomo. Bill Clinton endorses Andrew Cuomo. We've already seen where it's not really there. Where like the sort of kayfabe, the professional wrestling aspect of this. You look behind the scenes and you see the wrestlers who are fighting later hanging out, right? And you're starting to see that veneer, it has no weight anymore. Nobody gave a shit about this anti-Semitic stuff with Zohran Mamdani. You know why? Because he had no problem saying, no, anti-Semitism is an actual problem. You're not talking about actual anti-Semitism. You're using it as fear-mongering. And what do they do when they get desperate, Danielle? This is the beautiful part of this aspect. As they get desperate, they make more mistakes. They become more and more disgusting. It's not a coincidence in the final days leading up to this that everywhere you looked, these assholes were posting 9/11 pictures and videos and associating it with Zohran Mamdani. And you know what that
He
does to people?
was 9.
9 years old. And to say, do you want him in charge during a 9/11? Is this the person you want representing New York City? Their tactics are becoming more reprehensible. They're going to turn off more people and they're going to become more transparent. And here's the good news in all of this. You said they can't have the last word. 60 to 80% of the American population is in agreement about where this needs to go.
Mhm.
That 60 or 80% of the population are not represented by our leaders. Not in the Republican Party, which is historically unpopular, and the Democratic Party that people keep voting for because they don't want to vote for fucking Republicans. So now you have a question. You have a stress test. And is the Democratic Party going to keep and how much money have they spent on these studies, on influencers, on creating these reports? Hundreds of millions
Yep.
of dollars. Danielle, how much money got spent against Zohran Mamdani? How
22 million.
20 and that we know of.
Yeah, that we know of. That's
That
public.
we
Yeah.
know of.
Yep.
It didn't fucking work
Nope.
because they don't have that veneer anymore. The 60 or 80% of people who agree on this shit, we're tired of settling for crumbs. We're tired of settling for incrementalism. We're tired of having a choice between a fascist party and a conservative party. You know what? If you're not going to put those candidates up, we'll find them. Or
Mhm.
what's more, Danielle, we'll be them.
Yep.
And that's where this changes. And I do want to say one last thing, which is the tension between these two things, it's now going to skyrocket.
Mhm.
And that's what people need to be ready for because I said the fight is coming. They are scared shitless. Like, this is exactly what they didn't want. They wanted Mamdani to lose bad. They wanted to they wanted to win some of these races and lose some of these races. That's how they feel the most comfortable. The fight is here. That's what we have to look forward to. And they're going to become more desperate and it's going to become more transparent.
And I'll tell you this because, while trying to hold the joy of this moment and recognize that we pushed back against these oligarchs that were next time around, they'll say, okay, 22 million didn't do it. I'll do 44. I'll do 100 million. I'll keep going because it's pocket change to them. And I think that what we have to understand is that in the face of all of these obstacles and the opposition, right? Because again, just a reminder, the Supreme Court in 2026 is going to call the rest of the Voting Rights Act, which is going to possibly give Republicans over 20 seats in the House, right? All of those things being true, you can't stop our numbers.
No.
Right? The people have to continue showing up because the forces that are against us are just going to get more emboldened and better funded. But the thing that we consistently say over and over again is that we have the numbers, right? That's what they don't have.
Yep.
We have the numbers, right? So you can change the rules, you can, throw the money at it. And what they showed last night in the seat of financial power in this country and in the world is that capitalism's time is up, right? That capitalism's time is up. Oh, sorry. Did I come back?
You're back.
Am I back? I'm like, my phone is on do not disturb, and yet phone calls are
I
coming in.
tell you.
And so that's what I think is so brilliant about this moment in New York specifically is that you're talking about an area that has more Jewish people than Israel. You're talking about an area that has more billionaires than most other cities in the world. And a democratic socialist talking about free buses, talking about Palestinians as people, talking about trans people as people, talking to working people one in the center of power, a Muslim in the post 9/11 world, one, right? In the city that they told us they're going to build a mosque on top of, right? On top of the World Trade Center. Like, this is the type of shit that was beat back yesterday. And so if you can see that happen here, and this is why they did, if you can see that happen here, time is up. Time
And
is up.
time is up on traditional capitalism. Doesn't work. We know it doesn't work. It doesn't serve us. So now we have an actual choice. We have a choice between the next evolution in capitalism, which makes it work, which is anti democratic, fascistic principles. It is the idea that, yeah, it's not going to work for everybody, but we're going to choose white people, and not just white people, our favorite white people. The
Mm-hmm.
people that work with us, the people who are our friends, the people who help us commit the crimes, the people who help us rein in everybody else. Or you have a choice between a new hybrid type of democratic socialism, which, by the way, worked pretty well during the New Deal, but, whatever. Which last time I checked, it was a Democratic president that did that. And then the party moved away from that and then moved towards neoliberal capitalism. But that's just me. You either have a choice between the two. You don't straddle the third rail. Like, you can't do it. You got to be on one side or the other of it. The battle lines are drawn here, and everybody knows what direction this needs to go in, who isn't part of the 1% that wants to destroy democracy in order to protect themselves and to continue hoarding resources for themselves.
Yep.
What you just brought up is very important. We have the numbers. Well, what does that mean is the next thing to go, Danielle? Democracy. And they've already shown us that's what they want. And not only have they shown us, these people are such fucking morons that they're saying it.
Yeah, democracy doesn't work for us. That's what Trump said.
Period. And what is always said, and by the way, I'm just going to quote some guy in Germany who met with the industrialists, who were the oligarchs of the moment. He said, capitalism and democracy are not compatible. Well, guess what? The people that you're talking about, they're freaked out. Period. And what are they going to do? They're going to use their wealth in order to insulate themselves and to create the apparatus that is going to keep the hordes away from them.
Mm-hmm.
The people are going to continue moving towards something that says, hey, I don't want 1% of the population to have everything. It's actually better and healthier, and it actually functions when we're all able to live.
Yep.
And I'm not even just talking about being killed. I'm talking about having food.
Yep.
Talking about being able to have shelter. Eventually, the contradictions of capitalism make it where you're not able to have food and shelter. And people are not going to go along with that. So the reaction to this, much like it happens in cycles over and over, is that the people are going to move left. And quite frankly,
Yep.
they've always been to the left. It's been that veneer, it's been the game that has kept people from understanding it. You'll notice all of these flashpoints, they don't work anymore.
Nope.
We don't want to fucking talk about this. Oh, you want to talk about who uses what bathroom? Fuck you. I can't afford food. Like, it comes down to the necessities of it. They're going to try and manufacture controversies. They're going to create flashpoints. By the way, it's not a shocker that the Democratic Party that wants to straddle that third rail, that the Democratic Party's like, oh, we need to move away from trans people and we really need to move away from this. They can't do it. So you have to have a counterbalance to it. So the reaction to it is going to be extreme. And those moderates who have spent years sane washing Donald Trump, who have spent years endorsing candidates that want incrementalism or don't actually want change, they're going to move towards the right. And we've already seen it. People need to open their eyes. We've already seen evidence that that's what they're going to do because they've always been doing it.
Yep.
Now that the battle lines are drawn, the vast majority of people are over here, and a very small minority of them are over here. And now it's war. There's no other way to put it. It's not even just like a culture war at this point. We've been in a class war our entire lives. It just so happens that the terms of it are now obvious. And that's the difference in where we're heading right now.
And I think that, the thing that you're talking about in terms of what tactics they have tried over and over again that are no longer working, and it's because everyone is in pain. And the lies that they have been telling, which is, oh, the reason why you can't have this, that, or the other thing is because, trans kids are playing sports in school, right? The reason why you can't have this, that, or the other thing is because, oh, that undocumented person over there took a job that, by the way, you don't want and don't know how to do, right?
Football,
Like
like,
all of these lies, all of it is
yeah.
just like people looking around and saying, you're weaponizing food. Like you're telling me that the only people that use SNAP, right, are supposed to be these Black welfare queens. And yet, my friend down the street is a federal worker and is online for the fucking food banks because they haven't been paid and now going on 2 months, right? Like you're telling me that, oh, it's this person that was stealing from me. But I'm, like I've needed SNAP benefits. I need Medicare. I now can't afford any of those things. And they see who's been fucking lying.
Yep.
Right. And so I think that we have, to your point, been in a class war since the beginning of time. But what the veneer that they put on top of the very deep rooted class war is a culture war, right? Distract us with this bullshit culture war, have people at each other's throats, recognizing that we all want the same fucking things. Right. And so now we're at a place where you're looking to your left and you're looking to your right and everybody at the food bank. You're looking up and you're looking down and everybody is trying to cobble together money and trying to figure out if they can keep their health care. Right. And it's not one group over the other. It's every single person. Right. So I think that, again, I have said, and I remember saying this with you, Jared, when we first started doing the check-in. I said, a part of me believes that Donald Trump is necessary. A part of me believes that the last 10 years under Trumpism has been necessary for America to wake up out of its slumber and complacency. This idea that you don't have to pay attention to who the president is, that you don't have to pay attention to who your representative is because you have other things to do. And last night, one of the people on the panel that I was moderating said, for everyone that says, I don't really get into politics, guess what? Politics gets into you and the shit ain't consensual. So you better fucking pay attention. Right. And like that to me is where Americans are at this moment, which is just like there is nothing more important in your life to pay attention to than politics, because politics is paying attention to you, whether you want it to or not.
100%. And I want to say, by the way, like, we talk so much about addiction on here and America's addiction to denial and all of these things. And I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I've been practicing what I call reverse gratitude. I have so much reverse gratitude for Donald Trump. Why? Because, and by the way, it's not him. He is, again, I said this, I think it was last week. Donald Trump was belched up by
Yes. Yep.
condition. It's not that he is some sort of talented politician. They needed someone like Donald Trump to do this in order to finish the dismantling. I always talk about it's like a business that struggles a little bit, and then a private equity firm comes in and just like strips it down and steals the copper out of the walls. That's where we're at. And I'm so grateful that all of these distractions that we're talking about, people can get addicted to video games or watching things or drinking or using drugs or whatever it is. Guess what? Eventually, at some point, the material conditions interrupt that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be playing your games. You're not going to be watching your shows if you don't have fucking electricity.
Come on.
You're not going to be able to do these things if you can't pay your rent. You're not going to be able to do these things if you don't have food. And eventually it interrupts things. And for the record, what people are feeling right now, because we always need to remind them, it's what poor people have felt. It's what
Yep.
people of color have felt. It's what gay and trans people have felt. It's what immigrants have felt all across the board. That discomfort right now is the motivating tool. We don't need someone to come along and make us feel better. We don't need someone to come along and tell us, hey, everything's okay. We've got it. We're going to take care of this. We need conditions to get to the point which they are in which people can't fucking afford food.
Mm-hmm.
Food. If you can't afford food, if the most base level condition isn't being met, and I want to remind people, this administration has already said they're not going to comply with that judge ruling.
Yep.
And by the way, even if they did, it would be a little over half of the funds needed for a month of SNAP. Go donate to your local food banks and pantries, women's shelters, animal shelters, whatever you can give, because that's real and that's what we need to do. When you are faced with an actual crisis, that other shit fades away. We're not talking about who is cast in the new Star Wars movie. We're not talking about whether or not the protagonist of a video game is a woman or a woman of color. If Snow White is suddenly a woman of color, right? That shit doesn't matter. And it never mattered. It was
Yep.
all distraction from the very beginning. What matters now? Are people going to get food? Is there somewhere people can sleep? And are we going to somehow or another figure out how to take care of our material conditions? The exterior stuff, it is sloughing away. And what is coming to the forefront is the reality that people have been avoiding their entire lives. And you can't avoid it anymore. And I have reverse gratitude that we are getting to that point where it's like, holy shit, we might actually need to do something better at this point. And thank God for it because it is necessary.
You know how you often talk about AI slop, right? The AI slop that is out there, that is meant to distract us, distort what we see, distort how we feel, all of those things. And I think that when you talk about reverse gratitude, being grateful for the what I refer to as the big reveal, right? America, moderates, white people, they are revealing themselves, right? Who they are aligned with, what it is that they want, where their values are, right? Is that the reverse of AI slop is the gritty, real underbelly, right? It is seeing, smelling, and tasting the kind of society and country that we want to be in, and recognizing that that is not about how much we numb, how much we distract ourselves and think that that shit is going to fall into our laps, right? That anything that is worth anything comes with work, right? Comes with sweat and tears and blood. That's what that is. It's called being alive. And what we have been distracted to and numbed to is the sense of what it means to be alive. Being alive isn't just about all of the good or all of the light. It is about absorbing and feeling all of those things and finding your way through, right? Like that's what it means to be alive, right? If you always had daylight, right? If you always, you wouldn't appreciate the dark, and vice versa. If it was always sunny, you wouldn't appreciate the rain. Like we have got to get back to what it means to be in our bodies and what it means to really live. What it means to connect, what it means to breathe, to touch grass, to connect with each other, right? We've been so distracted and so numbed that the performance, to your point, that they have been putting on, right, has been another form of entertaining us to distract us from our wants, our needs, and our true desires, right? That if I can just feed you this AI slop, then you don't have to figure out how to have conversation with people. You don't have to figure out like what's missing in me that I need to actually work on and fill up so that I can be in righteous connection with folks, right? So it's like I feel like we have got to understand that living is also, it is beautiful and it is painful at the same time. But that's the truth of what it means to like be alive. And we should be striving for nothing else but that.
God, that is, you just nailed it dead to rights. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about back when I was on the campaign trail in 2016 and I would go to Hillary Clinton rallies. And yeah, I'm sure you've been to these things. They play like four songs constantly. And life in 2016, despite what people want to tell you, was not good. Like, things were going in the wrong direction. And what song did they always play? That annoying, "This is the best day of my life."
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not the best day of your life for everybody. People are suffering. You need to talk more about that. What did Mamdani do, Danielle? He had an infectious enthusiasm, still talked about the people who were suffering,
Mm-hmm.
still talked about the things. It's multifaceted and adulthood. And
Yes.
I think to myself about years ago, and I don't know if this will resonate. I imagine it will. I want people to think about when they've had a loved one who's been sick, right? Or you've had a crisis in the family. You find out who people are. You find, because if things are good, everybody can be happy and get along and there's room for all of this stuff. When shit hits the fan, you start figuring out like how people actually feel and how they actually operate and what they actually do, because you have to be able to appreciate, this is how this person is in a good time and this is how this person is in a bad time, and how we show up for each other and what we do. That's actual life. Like that,
Mm-hmm.
it's not the simulacrum that we're constantly fed. We're given one rally after another with fireworks and pyros and videos and songs and all this shit. No, like, people are suffering. Like, people are having a rough fucking time.
Yeah.
Don't it reminds me so much of like being in a workplace where things are corroding and then on a random Thursday the boss buys pizza. Like, oh, we're having a fucking pizza party? Things are bad. Like things aren't working. Things are falling apart. Like, I'm not a child, right? Like, I didn't have a bad day at school. Like, things are actually needing to be addressed as opposed to being papered over and
Come
giving
on.
new veneer. We have
Mm-hmm.
to go up as serious adults who are able to handle the ups and the downs and the good and the bad and the easy and the tough. And that has been missing. We have been treated like fucking children.
Children. Yep.
And we are not fucking children. We're adults and we get to make choices and we get to show up. We can't let people take care of everything for us, because the people who are cosplaying as adults, they're fucking children.
Yep.
They are all fucking children and they can't deal with this. And they're having their own little cycles and replays of their arrested development. What we need to do is embrace what life is and what is asked of us at this point. And what is asked of us is to be serious and be joyful and to show up and make decisions. And thank God people are doing that. Thank God, because that is the only way to get out of this shit.
Because you're so right, because we have been fed this idea of the perpetual adolescence, right? And naivete of whiteness, of Americans, of that being the aspiration that we should all look towards, right? Like, look at Donald Trump, look at MAGA, no accountability, no connection to like real work and real things. And that should be the aspiration, right? This saccharine kind of life, this saccharine living that's not real, it's not based on anything. Everything is just, like you said, just vomited to you, right? That you don't have to work for anything, and that should be what we aspire to. And we've been fed that. I just want people to understand, since like the advent of reality TV and before, that we've been fed this idea that success and joy and all of those things are just things that like come to you out of nowhere, right? And that should be the aspiration, is to do what you want with no accountability. That's not real fucking life.
Yep.
Like, that's not what it means to be an adult, to live. And so they've been catering and feeding, right, our perpetual adolescence. And
Yep.
then now it's like you said, the veneer is thin. The curtain is drawn back. The rose colored glasses are cleared. The wool is up from our eyes. And we are seeing for the first time with adult eyes, right? With wisdom behind us, right? What do we want? Not the bullshit that they're feeding us, not the meme coin, not the memed AI life, right? Like, we want real sustenance. right? Like, that's what it means to be human, to be alive, is to be like sustained by something that matters, right? And not given all of this puppeteering, all of this bullshit that they have been putting out to us as entertainment. I don't want to be fucking entertained, right? I want to be fed.
I'm tired of being entertained. I'm tired of it. And by the way, like, that's even human. Like, I don't want to be stimulated constantly. Sometimes I need to be calm. Sometimes I need time to reflect. Sometimes I need to listen to myself. And something you just said slotted something in for me. Donald Trump and Elon Musk, the way that they are wealthy is the way that a child imagines a wealthy person would behave. Elon, oh, if I had a child, if I had all the money in the world, I'd fly to Mars. What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, I'm going to have like marble fucking bathrooms. I'm going to have a ballroom where everybody gets to dance. I'm going to fly on planes. I'm going to have gold plated toilets. What we have struggled with is that you and I and the people watching this and the people we care about, they have done without. They have suffered. They have died early so that these motherfuckers can live out a childlike fantasy.
Yep.
And when it comes down to that, all of a sudden you start thinking about how many people in this fucking country have gone bankrupt because one person in the household wants to buy everything. Right? Or that they want to have a fancy sports car that they've wanted since they were little. Right? Or they want to buy too much, or they want to buy another house, or they want to do this, or they want to do that. And what gets missed in it is people suffer because of that selfishness. And so what we are struggling through right now, the reason that we are dying, the reason we're being disappeared, the reason a surveillance state is being set up is because some motherfuckers will not grow up. And by the way, society doesn't work this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a household. It's like a life. You cannot continue to live like this. Eventually, at some point or another, it breaks down, but they can't allow it because what would it puncture, Danielle? Their stupid fucking fantasy.
Yep.
That is the difference here. Are people going to live and be able to have food and have houses? Is this country going to survive? Or are these man children going to continue their fantasies? That's all this is. And that is the essence of it that is being broken down right now, is it's always been that. And it's always been the choice. And now it is just a more obvious choice between the two.
I mean, it's just, you have got to be, and I love your term, reverse gratitude. You have got to be grateful about being shown the truth.
Yes.
You have got to be grateful about there being a big reveal. And that does not mean that what is revealed to you is beautiful, is amazing. What is revealed right now is the truth, right? Is the truth that we have been distracting ourselves from, that we have been, hiding from, is the truth, right? The erasure, the work, right? The levels that they are going through to have us be ostriches, right? Burying our heads in the sand, right? Patting us on the head. Like, let me tell you something. If I were a white person in America, I would be fucking insulted by MAGA. I would be fucking disgusted by MAGA. You think that I don't have what it takes to handle the fucking truth? You think that I'm that fragile, that I'm that small, that I'm that stupid? Right? Like, if I were white in America right now and MAGA is looking at you and saying you can't handle shit, that's what they are telling you.
I cannot tell you. I'm so glad you brought this up because I haven't been able to talk about this in any forum. Do you know how much it fucking pisses me off that these people cosplay as my family? That they dress like my family, they act like they have the values of their family, that I have to go watch like country music videos of people driving giant trucks and fucking pandering to people. How much, by the way, like we don't have time to get into it, that moderates and middle class whites cosplay as poor people. Like, it's insulting. It's insulting. You know what poor people worry about? What working class people worry about? Getting food on the fucking table.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to make those choices constantly. And those are the choices that are actual and real. It doesn't
Yep.
mean the people that I come from haven't gotten lost in fantasy, because Danielle, what you just said, that insult, those messages, they make it easier to not think about having food and not
Mm-hmm.
being able to afford things. It is fucking infuriating, because what are they selling, Danielle? They're selling knockoff Rolex watches. They're selling bullshit like clothes and Bibles and all this shit. They are stealing every last cent from these people and giving them nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. And so now you have a choice. Again, the choice is more obvious. Do you want something or do you want nothing? And
Mhm.
that is the essence of it. Do you want something or do you want nothing?
Yeah. There is no one that I wanted to have this first conversation with after last night than you. Because this is the excavation that America has needed. This is the mirror that we have needed to hold up to ourselves, right? This is us saying collectively, we are ready to do the work. Right? I want us to abandon magical thinking. I want us to abandon the night coming in to rescue us. I want us to realize, right, the truth of the hard work that is in front of us, and being excited about that work, being excited about the possibility being breathed back into us because we took a deep breath and took a chance and an opportunity to see something different, to do something different, to create something different, right? Like, that's what this moment is. And that's why we need to hold it, plant it, water it, just service it, right? Because the forces that are coming in, that are here, that are present, are unrelenting. So must our persistence.
I'm so glad that you used the metaphor of growing. Think about if you spent your time trying to grow a plant. You care about it, you invest in it, it brings you happiness, you have to protect it. That's the point here. Like, take the joy here, feel the joy, feel the win, let it nurture you, let it replenish you, let it fuel you, while understanding there's more work to be done. There's a fight that's coming, and that breath you talked about, we talk about it a lot. You take the breath where you can get them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the moment where we can take a breath so that we can keep fighting. And I am so glad to talk to you. And I texted you last night. I just said I cannot wait to talk to you tomorrow. This was so needed, and I hope as people watch this series of stuff, and if you haven't, go back and look at the ups and the downs and all of it. This is like being real, and this is like being present. And
Yeah.
what we're talking about right here, I am so happy we got to share today, because we have to share some hard days. I
Yeah.
appreciate you.
I want to say, because this is like, this for us, like Jared has said, we've been modeling how to have conversations, modeling how to grieve together, how to have joy together, how to excavate the truth together. And that is what the check-in has been. Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern. We've done it in cars, we've done it on the road, we've done it, when we can, and on days when we have not wanted to, because we're in tears and we're in grief. And so for folks that are joining that are new, know that we come on here every Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern. Follow us, subscribe, support independent media and voices. Like, this is where we come to do the work. This is where we come to be in community. So like, share, comment, subscribe, you know, let's be in this, right? Let's continue to check in.
All right, keep fostering that joy, Danielle.
You too, my friend.
See you later.
Bye.